You are probably tired of hearing about the consoles of the 90s. Nintendo vs Sega, SNES vs Genesis, Mario vs Sonic. It's the same 3 slides in the same PowerPoint presentation that has been playing people's heads for like, what, 30 years now?
Mario World, wow!
Oh, what's this one?
Oh, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis. Hey, look at these radical colors, huh?
And one of the reasons I hear for why Nintendo won the war is that they had more standout games. Because sure, Sega had their answer to Mario, that's Sonic, everyone knows that. But then people go, yeah, but Sega never had a Zelda to call their own. And to that I say, fuck, they did, absolutely. It's Wonder Boy, or Monster World, or Monster Boy that one time, or one of several other names that I'll refer to the games that are either connected, kind of connected, spiritually connected, or legally connected depending on the year and the mood. Yeah, this series has a terrible, like really terrible naming scheme, and I promise I won't tangle them as later, but for now, for my own sanity and probably yours, I'm just gonna call it Wonder Boy, okay? Okay. Now, I already know you are looking at the footage playing right now and thinking, this doesn't look like Zelda, it's a platformer. Yeah, I get it, but looks can be deceiving. Because yes, Wonder Boy is actually a series of action RPGs for Sega consoles. Except instead of the classic top-down Zelda thingy, it's mostly a side-scroller. Like, yeah, I want the depth on an RPG, but I also want to move left and right. Take Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap. You play as Book. Yes, like Book, as in the thing you read. The game starts with you getting wrecked by a dragon and then cursed to be a lizard main thingy. No tutorial and no warning, you are just a reptile now, go deal with it. The entire adventure is you across a fantasy world while having to deal with the curse bestowed upon you. And the curse doesn't stop at just one form. As you play, you keep picking up more transformations with different abilities. The lizard, for example, has a fire breath, the piranha gets you the ability to swim, and the hawk lets you fly, and so on and so on. Which means the game is constantly throwing new twists at you, and progression ends up being less about stats and more about adapting. Then we hit Wonder Boy in Monster World, and the tone shifts back to a more traditional fantasy setting, no curses in sight this time. Monster World is introduced as a land that's used to be peaceful, until monsters start attacking, and nobody knows exactly where the monsters are coming from. Not only that, but the princess is also missing. With all hope lost, the only thing people can do now is pray that someone will step in. Yeah, that's you, now in the shoes of a new hero, Xion. Go deal with it. The world opens up into multiple towns, ruins, and ancient structures, all connected and clearly part of something much older than the player. What really sells it for me is how casual everybody is about the apocalypse. Like, oh yeah, that thing's been sealed for centuries, anyway, do you wanna buy something? And by the time you get to Monster World 4, the series fully shifts again, now taking place in an Arabian-inspired world. And this time you play as Asha, a young girl who starts hearing voices scared by the wind. Spirits asking for help, warning of evil coming. Now go deal with it. So now you must leave your peaceful village and travel through ancient temples, dealing with elemental spirits and uncovering the remains of old civilizations. Along the way, Asha will adopt Rapadagna, a small blue creature that is way more than just a mascot. You can pick him up, throw him, use him to activate switches, block projectiles, glide across gaps, and even tank hits for you. A lot of the game's puzzle and platforming are built around learning how to use him properly. He is basically an extension of Asha's moves. And across all of those games, there's a very consistent approach to storytelling. You learn what's going on by playing the game, by seeing what's broken, and by realizing that most of the problems you're fixing started before you even showed up. All I'm trying to say is that Wonder Boy, it's all the right notes for me. It can have epic storylines and be full of dungeons to raid, puzzles to solve, people to meet, and monsters to murder for loot. And all of this is in a connected world, not just a bunch of levels slapped together. And while backtracking is a thing, there is some strategy to it. Paths open up and shortcuts reveal themselves. It's fun, I promise. And it's also beautiful. The pixel art brings it all together. Everything looks bright and colorful, with an art style that is both cartoony and expressive, with just enough detail to be immersive, while also being simple enough not to melt into a mess like so many games do when trying to have detailed graphics in these old consoles. And the aforementioned Monster World 4, the last Genesis games for the series, is absolutely top tier for the console. It sits right up there with the best looking Genesis games. No arguing there, it's gorgeous, And yeah, I know the Genesis isn't exactly known for its sound capabilities when compared to the SNES, but for every Spider-Man the animated series situation, there was a Sonic, a Streets of Rage, and yes, a Wonder Boy. The music is that good, like earworm level good. It grabs you, it sticks, and it actually fits the mood every time. It can be cozy, tense, and impactful when it needs to. And here's a flex that still blows my mind. Wonder Boy in Monster World featured an ocarina as a major item a full month before A Link to the Past did. Yeah, that's right, Sega does what Nintendo don't, apparently, with a side-scrolling action RPG called Wonder Boy. So yeah, at this point it probably sounds like Wonder Boy is this massive Sega hidden gem. And maybe now it makes a little more sense why I called it Sega's Zelda earlier. But here's the obvious question. If Wonder Boy is that good, why has almost nobody heard of it? Where is my Wonder Boy Breath of the Wild? Well, honestly, I put most of the blame squarely on Sega themselves. Remember when I said this? This series has a terrible, like really terrible naming scheme, and I promise I won't tangle them as later, but for now, for my own sanity and probably yours, I'm just gonna call it Wonder Boy, okay? Okay. Well, you better remember because that was like 5 minutes ago. If you don't, please stop the doom scrolling right now. Your brain's cooked, man, I can help you. But if you did, yeah, Wonder Boy has one of the wackiest naming schemes in gaming. Actually unhelpful. And that's only the beginning because it also has one of the most interesting, chaotic histories in the medium. So chaotic, in fact, that even if you were a hardcore Nintendo kid during the console wars, there's a very real chance that you played Wonder Boy without even realizing it. Don't believe me? Alright. Let me know if this footage of the first Wonder Boy game, originally released in arcades, looks familiar to you all. That's right, that's Adventure Island. But how can it be? Adventure Island's an NES game. I can hear some of you actively hurting yourselves in confusion right now. So here's what happened. All the stuff I've been praising about Wonder Boy, the setting, the interconnected world, the whole action RPG thingy, yeah, none of that was there from the start. Because Wonder Boy didn't begin its life as some grand fantasy adventure. It started as a Sega arcade game, and arcade games back then weren't about worlds or lore or continuity. They had short levels, simple goals, and a difficult curve designed to politely ask for your money every 2 minutes or so. Which is why at first Wonder Boy was basically just run to the right, jump on things, don't die. And back in the day, Adventure Island on the NES was supposed to be a straight-up port of the arcade game. Like, same game, same everything else. The problem is that the rights situation was a mess. The developer, Escape, had licensed parts of Wonder Boy to Hudson Soft, but they had already signed away ownership of the Wonder Boy name and characters to Sega. So Hudson couldn't use the same name and the characters. Their solution? A new guy, Master Higgins. Same gameplay, same levels, same everything. Just a different dude in a baseball cap, for some reason. And Adventure Island was born. And to be fair, Adventure Island didn't just stay a clone forever, it actually grew into its own thing over time, like for real, Adventure Island 4 is great, I'm not even being ironic about that. But here's where things go completely off the rails again. Because in 2004, Hudson released Super Adventure Island, a straight-up reskin of Wonder Boy in Monsterland, a 1987 game, wait for it, for Java phones! And not to be confused with Super Adventure Island for the SNES in 1992. That's a different game with the same name, based on a different Wonder Boy, released 12 years apart. Alright, you think that's confusing enough? Oh buddy, strap in. Because on Sega's side of the console wars, Wonder Boy decided to take its own, very special path into madness. It started simple, like I already mentioned, the arcade game does great, the home ports sell well, and everyone's happy. So Sega does what Sega does and greenlights a sequel, Wonder Boy in Monster Land. It's still an arcade game, but now it starts sprinkling RPG elements, not only in its setting, but also with shops where you can buy upgrades. There's a little bit more structure in how the game progresses. Still not a full, interconnected world, just a sequence of levels with a bit more going on between them. And at this point it made sense. Same foundation, slightly deeper mechanics, still built for arcades. Then we hit the third game, and this is where the timeline starts derailing, because there are two different third Wonder Boy games. One of them is Monster Lair, made for arcades, which basically goes, yeah no, forgot all that RPG stuff, we are going back to the arcade chaos. It also has a Genesis port. The other one is the already mentioned The Dragon's Trap, released to the Master System, which does the exact opposite. It doubles down hard on the RPG side and is a direct sequel to Monsterland. And when I say direct sequel, I mean direct. Book is actually the same hero from the previous game, which makes it even funnier that the universe immediately decides to punish you for coming back. Because the dragon that curses you in the beginning of the game is the final boss of the previous one. That's literally the opening of Dragon's Trap. That was actually super cool and honestly pretty bold for the time. This is also where the series really finds its footing in my opinion, and no, this isn't the case of two games releasing at around the same time. No, both of these games are officially called Wonder Boy 3, with the number and everything. The second game actually didn't have a number, the third one does, and there are two of them. Anyway, after that, Sega drops the numbers again and releases Wonder Boy in Monster World for the Genesis, which is then followed by a game that evolves the formula even further, and again is the best one in the series if you ask me. Also, small detail, you play as a girl in this one, in a series called Wonder Boy, which doesn't even matter because the game isn't even called Wonder Boy anymore. It's just called Monster World 4. Where are the other 3 Monster Worlds? Okay, alright, to try and bring some resemblance of sense into this mess, we need to look at the Japanese styles. Because over there the whole thing almost makes sense. Almost. So remember Wonder Boy in Monsterland, the second game? The one that added RPG elements in the first place? The Mark III version, that's the Japanese Sega Master System by the way, wasn't just called that. In Japan it was titled Wonder Boy Monster World, as in Monster World 1, that was the first one. So naturally, when Sega made the RPG-focused follow-up, the version of Wonder Boy 3 that wasn't Monster Lair, they named it Monster World 2 in Japan. And at this point the franchise basically split up in two again after Adventure Island. Wonder Boy was the arcade first pick-up-and-play game, and Monster World was the action RPG one, with exploration, gears and progressions and so on. Cool, that's clean, that makes sense, like there's logic to it. Psych, because the next game Sega just goes, actually no, let's smash it all back together again. So the next entry is titled Wonder Boy 5, Monster World 3 in Japan. Let that sit for a second. It's Wonder Boy 5 because the third game had two versions, obviously, so it's the fifth game. And it's Monster World 3 because we're counting those separately now. Still with me? Good, doesn't matter, because then we get to Monster World 4, which is actually the sixth game in the franchise. And it has no Wonder Boy in the title at all, until the remake in 2021 where they decided to call it Wonder Boy Asha in Monster World? Am I going insane? Please tell me this isn't at the very least one of the most confusing name schemes in gaming. Like Kingdom Hearts fans, next time if you're brave enough to complain about your titles, remember Wonder Boy or Monster World or whatever the series decided was called that week. So yeah, those absolutely unhinged names are, in my opinion, the main reason this series never took off in the first place. I mean, how could they? Because even something as small as a 2 in a title can scare off some people. A lot of folks see a sequel and go, ah cool, guess I already missed that boat. Now imagine walking to a store and seeing like Wonder Boy 5 Monster World 3 sitting on the shelf.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
That's not even a video game title anymore, that's a math problem. And yeah, the English releases tried to clean things a bit, but even there Sega couldn't commit. Numbers appear, then numbers disappear, subtitles come and go, no one knows where to even start. Then Sega makes the jump from the Genesis to the Saturn and just kind of abandons almost everything, including Sonic by the way. Sonic eventually claws its way back on the Dreamcast, but by then the damage is already done. A lot of Sega's legacy franchises just left behind, and unfortunately Wonder Boy was one of them. Now, to be fair, the series isn't dead per se, but it's still in life support, with mostly remakes and smaller budget projects. In 2016, we got a remake of the first Wonder Boy, hitting the PS4 and Switch. Then in 2017, we got a remake people actually gave a shit about. Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap on the PS4, Switch and Xbox One. In 2018, we got Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which is technically the 7th game in the series, even if it's not Wonder Boy or Monster World somehow. Then in 2021, we got the aforementioned Wonder Boy, Asha in Monster World, the remake of the Monster World 4, now also on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. And in 2022, we got 2 different compilations, because this franchise simply cannot help itself. Yeah, 2. There is Wonder Boy Collection, which is fine, but weirdly bare bones and missing a bunch of stuff. And then there is Wonder Boy Anniversary Collection, which goes completely off the rails in the best way possible. All of the games, including multiple versions like the arcade and console ports. Basically the whole massive family tree in one place. Honestly, that's the best way to jump into this series today. And yeah, confusing names, cursed timelines, identity crisis and all, it's still absolutely worth it. Because buried under all the naming chaos, it is one of Sega's best adventure series that somehow survived in despite of itself. Whew, that was a ride. I better stop here before my brain actually melts, but honestly, this series history has always intrigued me and I hope it grabs you even a little bit too. If this video got you curious, I strongly recommend starting with Monster World 4, it's the most polished game in the series, hands down. Unfortunately, it's not as widely accessible as Wonder Boy and Monster World, which shows up in a bunch of Sega Genesis compilations. Still, if you can't get 4 right away, that one is the next best thing. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hype or whatever YouTube has going on for these days. I'll see you next time. Ciao!